Hi everyone. So in this video, what we are going to focus on is this one test case that we didn't implement last time, which is about selecting, using this product edit test case, or like adding a test case there for selecting the categories. So this will be our to-do for now. So let's actually take a look on how this would work. So right now we have already a couple of tests here in place, given a valid product with price, or a product without street. So this means we can actually create a second test case here, and we say valid product with category. When save product through the form, then the product and category association are saved. So the test setup will be very similar. So we will just create a particular screen, and then select the category, and then assert that the category is actually in place. For that, we can probably take this method here because it already does a very similar thing to creating the product category. So this will be our initial test setup. So what we can do here is just copy over this product category method, and since we are in a UI test, we actually don't need this wrapper for the system authentication. So with that, we can basically make it a little bit simpler. And so let's take a look on how to create the first product category. So this will be our product category 1, and then additionally we create a second one here, which we'll call product category 2. And so here the data is now, after that, is now actually saved in the database. So this means when we open the screen afterwards, and this is actually quite important, because if you create the product categories after you open the screen, then the data loading will actually not fetch those two categories. So this means what we have to do is to extend our form interactions API here slightly to also incorporate this new functionality that we would like to put in. So so probably the first thing that we want to do is to assert that the data loading actually loads the correct product categories into the Combobox. So what we can do is to have a method which we'll call, for example, get entity Combobox values, and what we have to pass in there is the component ID. So if we go here to the XML definition, we will take this category field. So this means we will actually look up this one. Let's just create a method for now. I will just leave it like this. And here we already do have a Combobox field, a component to load up a particular Combobox or get a reference to that. But if we look at this method, it's actually not exactly what we need, because it currently returns, we used it in the use case of an enum. So probably what we can do is to say entity Combobox field. And here it's actually a Combobox not of type enum class string anymore, but actually it's of type, of a generic type. So this means we can say class of T should be entity class, and here we will basically declare T and then return of type T. And this means we now have to pass in our expected result type of this Combobox. So we can create this invocation here, and since we don't have this one, we can actually put that as a parameter. And this one should just be fine. We can also actually make it of type T, and just declare this this generic. And what we actually want to return is a list of type T. So this would be our our result of this whole effort. And the reason why we want to do this is that we afterwards want to assert on these particular values to say, is this product category 2 really in the list that we want? So when we have now our combo box here, there's a method called getOptions, and this actually returns like an options object. And so we can go into this one here. So this is this interface which is coming from the Jmix UI data, and it has another method which is also called getOptions, and this returns us a stream of type I, so which is actually in our case a stream of type T, because we passed in, or we declared it as of type T. So since this is a stream, now what we can do is just do it like this and return a proper, like basically collect it to a regular Java list, and we can just return this value here. And probably then we also don't need the T combo box anymore. So with that, we now are capable of fetching all the entities that have been loaded. So this means we need to say product category .class, and what we then get back is all, or let's say available product categories. So and this is already quite good, because now what we can do is, for example, we can assert that available product categories contains, and then we actually want to verify that it contains both category 1 and category 2. So the contains method here has a variant where you have a var args on the items that are in this list, so you can just pass in those two objects and ensure that they are both in there. So with that, we didn't change it a lot. We just did the additional insertion that the loading actually happens. So let's take a look if this really works. Okay, apparently it does. So this means we can also, what I normally try to do when I have this test that are immediately working, then I try to really make sure that that the tests are not just passing because I missed some point or something. So when it comes to data loading, what we can, for example, do is to say where name like, and then we'll just pass in product category 1, and with that we basically fetch only the product category 1, and when we run this test now again, then hopefully our test should fail, because now the product category 2 is actually not present anymore. And so if we look at on the outcome of the test, it actually says that now the array basically contains only one item, but we expect it to contain 2. So this is a little bit unfortunate, because the string method, the string method is not implemented. We can, if we would want to, we could fix that, and then basically just convert it, for example, get name, or I'm not. So this, this would work, and with that we could do it like this, and then we would have to check for the name attributes. So let's see if this already makes it a little bit easier to understand. Okay, so it's still not working, but the outcome is now a little bit easier. So expecting array list product category 1 to contain 2 items, but 2 was missing. So this is exactly what we were aiming for. Now I will just take it back here and just operate on the objects itself to make it a little bit more readable in the test case here. So now that we have that, and we can actually then go back to our definition here and just get rid of this false invocation of the data loading. So then now that we know that we actually that both entries are available, what we can then do is to say that we actually want to select a particular thing, and for that we also have to extend our forms interactions because this is not really present right now. So we can say set and probably do it like this, but say entity combo box field value, and then we pass in the category ID. And the next thing is that we say product category 1. So this is what we would like to select. Let's create this method here. And so this will once again be the product, the component ID. And here we have, actually what we do have is of type T entity, and this will be of type T once again. So what we need here is we also need to have a reference on this thing on the combo box itself, which it's currently a little bit hard because we only have T, but what we actually need is a class of T. So probably it's easier if we just create this parameter as well there and just declare that it's of type T, and with that it should actually be fine. So this means in our invocation we actually have to say product category class once again. Perhaps we can optimize that later, but right now I'm not 100% sure. And once we have that combo box, what we can actually do is to say set value, and then we can just say basically set the value directly into this combo box, and this is basically acting like a selection. So perhaps one additional thing that we can do is to ensure that the entry is really present when we do this operation. So this means we could say T combo box get options, and then we can say filter, and for example T, and here we can check on the entity, and if this is not matching, so we can say find first or else throw, and let's say, so this will be entity from combo box, right? Because here what we do is basically we load up the options once again. So this is actually a method that we can basically outsource here. Let's say get entity combo box stream, something like this. I'm not 100% sure. Now we can actually use this one here, and since we okay, so actually it wouldn't really work because we need the reference to the combo box in order to set the value afterwards. So okay, so there's not really much of an improvement here to make right now. Okay, anyways, at least what we now did is to basically filter for our instance and to verify that it's actually there, and just retrieve this one, or else throw an element not found exception. And so then we can, instead of passing in this one, we can actually select the value that actually comes from the combo box. So with that in place, now we have correctly selected this one, and what we can now do is to basically not only check if the product is present, but what we can do here is to say get and then extracting the category attribute. And here we can assert on a particular thing. So what we can do, since we selected the first category, we can check if the category is actually this number 2. And if it is, then we have correctly, or not correctly actually, fetch the value, because actually we would expect that the category 1 is actually the one that is selected or has been stored. Okay, so let's take a look. So as we see here, there is a difference once again. So most likely this comes from our wrong selection. There's one thing that I just noted which we should also fix, and here we should clean up all of our product category classes immediately before the test run, in order to not create a lot of those test cases here, a lot of test data. Good, so with that we can basically select or ensure that it is really the product category 1, and with that then we are really sure that it is actually doing the right thing and actually storing the right values. Okay, so this works. I was just thinking, actually, since this test is now actually quite big, what we can do is to split it up basically and create 2 test cases. So the first one would be that given opening the product editor when, or it's actually when there's no, okay, so actually let me just rephrase that here. So this will be when opening the editor, given 2 product categories are in the database or are present. Yeah, perhaps in DB is actually a little bit better than the assertions that we can make is to say product categories are displayed in the Combobox. Right, so this is one thing that we can check, and with that we basically only check this one here, and afterwards we don't do anything at all anymore. So this is really taking care of the data loading and making sure that this is actually what we want. For this one we can also get rid of this one. So what we can say is here given, and then, or it's actually when we open the screen, then expect our objects to our product categories to be present. And the second test is actually the one that we have had before, and here we at least can get rid of this one, because now we have also this verification here as part of our implementation of this form interactions. So also this test gets a little bit easier to read, and probably we also don't need this one here anymore. So let's rerun all the tests and see if this is now in a good shape. Okay, seems like that. Good, then I think we are done with our test case, and perhaps let me just give you a little bit of context on this whole form interactions. I mean, I've talked about that before slightly, but as you see now, this grows and grows and grows, and actually you can think of it like this is almost like a proper super small framework in itself to interact with the web integration test APIs from Jmix. And probably this should normally not be in an application. So I'm not sure if we are all supposed to write this kind of stuff on our own. I think there is a lot of room for improvement for this whole web integration testing in Jmix. So as you have already seen in 1.2, they introduced this UI test annotation, And so perhaps we see over time just a little bit more stuff in order to interact with the UIs and with the components and so on. So just make it easier for us. If this will be the case, I'm not sure, but when it will happen, then we can just go ahead and refactor our tests to not use our own implementation or just delegate to the actual framework implementation or whatever. Okay, so I think with that we are done. At least with this one to do. Yeah, this test for managing product categories would just be another CRUD test, I think. I think we have now seen that for quite some time on how to do that. So I will probably not capture all of this. Perhaps I will write this test case after the video, but I won't go into the details of that. But what you can expect is just the same stuff that we have seen for customers and for and yeah, at least for customers, this is very similar. Okay, thanks for watching, and then see you next time.